Okay, Josh, this is Brantley from Atlet. I'm just going to give you a little bit of an overview of some stuff I saw from this video. I got you synced up with one of our pro guys. He's 5'9", throws 93, 97. He's just a good example of how to be efficient and move fast to be explosive with velocity. So I use him a lot as my main example for when I'm doing side-by-sides with people. But basically, the big thing for you, man, knowing your history, your injury history, and looking at this video and looking at the previous videos that, from what I could see on your Instagram, this has been an issue for a while for you. It's gotten slightly better, but it's still a problem. So I'm going to talk mostly about what your arms are doing and the relationship that they're having that's causing a late timing issue for when you actually want to throw the ball, that's putting too much stress on your rotator cuff and not giving you enough external rotation of your throwing arm so that you can have a whippier arm to basically throw faster, easier. All right. So first I'm going to show you what you do well. All right. You'll notice, at the beginning of the motion, we're pretty similar here. Everything's back. You're a lot bigger than Jester over here on my left. One thing you do is you kind of hinge into your hip when you lift. I usually don't recommend people do that, but it doesn't seem to hurt you. One of the big things that I do want to fix here at this point is where your hands are and how tight they come into your body when you lift. So watch how you're going to kind of, as soon as you get into peak leg lift, you're going to bring your hands into your chest and kind of like hug your chest from where you started. So you're going from a relaxed state here to bringing your hands in and kind of squeezing them a little bit. So that's more of a tense state right there. All right. I don't necessarily like that move because what you've done is you've tensed up your upper body right out of the gate. All right, notice here on our left, we're going to stay loose the whole time and out away from our body. So there needs to be space. You're going to need to do a lot more filming from the second base view for what I'm going to talk about today. But this would be the first reference. If you're filming from second base, you're going to see some space, okay, off of your chest, between your chest and your hands. You need to keep that space so that you can keep your arms loose, free, and easy, okay? And then when you're getting into back leg drive, and separating, everything's great here. You separate late, you drive really well, you're stable on your back leg. All this is good to me, all right? Except one thing. So we're fine with all the lower body. You guys are both stable here. You're actually a little bit better than Jester in terms of getting into your back leg, all right? Everything's closed, front hip's closed. We moved our weight forward already. Now I want you to see how your glove arm is back in relation to your front foot. So, and this is not a problem at this point necessarily, but it's just a red flag for later. So notice how we're expanding more out here. We're in sync with our lead leg. So we're spreading out with our lead arm and lead leg on the left side. And then on the throwing arm, notice how it's sitting down by your back knee and it's not swinging up into position yet. So this is where this comes into play. Your back arm gets up too late before you start to rotate your hips and your upper body into acceleration of the external rotation of the throwing arm. So watch how you're going to spread out here. And what we look for here is, you can think of this as like launch position for a thrower. All right, we're looking at the height of your shoulders here, and we want to see this elbow of this throwing arm get up to that shoulder, get close to that shoulder, all right, before your hips start to turn, before your chest starts to turn. And what you're going to do is sit down there too long, and your hand's going to start to take over your elbow too early because you sat down there too long, and then it's going to try to correct itself. See how we're in this position here? Now, you don't have to be as high, all right, as Jester is in this position, but do you see how he's spread out? He's got both elbows up. Okay, your arms behave in an equal and opposite relationship. So if you reach too far out to the side and get straight with your front arm, which is what you're doing here, and if you pivot to the second base view, you're going to see that, then your back arm is going to sit down too low for too long, and then when it starts to get up into the position to throw, your hand's going to take over too early at a low spot. All right, so in other words, watch when Jester takes over on his side. Right at shoulder height, and then boom, he's going to take over with his hands, get into the 90-degree slot at landing, and then go into external rotation of his throwing arm. Okay? Watch what's going to happen to you. We're going to come out here to landing. Your hand's already flexed. You see how your hand is overtaking your elbow? See this flexion right here? Okay? That's a point of tension in your upper body. All right? And now you're getting closer and closer to landing. Watch your hand, your elbow kind of recock down to try to delay itself because of what you did. So your hand started to take over. Then your elbow was like, nope, we need to correct ourselves. Let's delay a little bit. Get you up to shoulder height. That action was too tense, and your rotation is kind of going off towards this wall here. All right? Instead of being just a smooth swing up into that spot, you're kind of like straightening your arms and rebending your arms and then going into rotation. And I want you to watch what's going on here. Your front shoulder is going to start going towards this back wall behind you. Your head's going to start going towards this back wall behind you. And because all that's happening, this arm is not going to be able to get up behind your head, and it's going to be late into external rotation. So you're not going to get very much external rotation. When you get to landing, all right, look at how your head's going over towards that wall. All right, you cannot see where you're throwing at this point. Look at where your front side's going over to that wall, and look how far forward you're leaning right now. So the gap for you between your head and your throwing arm, where we want to see 90 degrees or inside of 90 degrees with a pitcher who's going into external rotation of the throwing arm, yours is outside of that. So you're creating like an obtuse angle here. All right, and that is all that's telling me is if I'm looking from the second base view, this is not getting behind your head. So if you can picture you standing at second base looking at yourself pitching, we want to see the throwing arm when it gets to 90 degree slot from the side angle. We want to see it also get vertical behind our head, so on the left side of your head from the second base view. And I promise you it's not doing that right now. And so when you start to go further, watch how stiff this is going to look. It looks like your shoulders and arm are rotating at the same time instead of your chest being in front of your elbow and you getting more whip with this arm. Your head's pulled fully off over here. Your full maximum external rotation is right here, all right, which is not great. All right, we'd like to see a little bit more for a high velocity thrower than what you have there. And mostly that's just because of all the stuff I just said in the beginning. So in other words, man, we've got to do just a couple of simple things, all right? We need to move your hands out away from your chest, and I'm talking about 2 inches away from your chest, and keep them there, and keep your body relaxed. And then you need to focus on swinging or spreading your arms away from each other with bent elbows on both arms and relaxed wrists on both arms the entire time. So that from the second base view, you'll start to see your elbows start to swing you out of the glove, and then when your hand takes over at shoulder height, that hand is going to get up on the left side of your head, just slightly on the left side of your head, and then go into external rotation. So you should have more external rotation of your throwing arm. If you do that, your arm's basically going to be floppier. All right, it's going to be looser, whippier, floppier, whatever term you want to use. Your head's not going to move as much. And then when you throw, you're not going to have nearly as much tension. All right? The last part of your velo that you're missing is this right here. Notice how this arm is all the way back on the left side here. The head is completely still here. All right? That's a bad line. Jester's still, like, his head is fully still. He's tracking the ball. And then this right here. His front leg is helping him through rotation. Now, he does it pretty extreme. You don't have to be as good as him at this, and he's smaller than you, so he has to make up for that with his rotation. But notice how, even though you're firm on your front side, you're not extending your front leg. So what that's telling me is that your trunk rotation, you're not getting enough out of your trunk rotation, and you're too far forward at the time of ball release. So this is, again, related to that back arm. What you're going to start to see when you fix that back arm is you're going to be a little bit more upright earlier in the point of rotation. And then when you get to ball release right here, you're going to see that leg be much closer to straight than it is right now. Doesn't have to be as much as what you're seeing on the left here. All right? But this right here is costing you some velocity. About 80% of our velocity comes from our quickness and rotation. And so where you're sacrificing velocity is right here. But in order to do that right, we got to fix that arm motion. So step one is fix the way the arms swing out of the glove, fix the way the hands are positioned when you're lifting your leg and when you're starting your motion, and then allow yourself to see that arm get further and further behind your head, be a little bit looser, a little whippier, and then focus on staying a little more upright and getting more extension out of your front leg while you're going into ball release. If you do these two things, then you're going to be back where you were. I mean, from what I could see, you were in the 91, 93 range. We want to see that from you, no problem. I mean, you're a big enough guy to be able to do that, and you look pretty clean here. But I mean, as far as just watch this video and see, go refilm yourself from the back side, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about with the way that back arm is behaving. That explains your entire injury history from a throwing standpoint. Like, it's easy to see why you're having shoulder issues. So that's it, man. Hopefully that was helpful.